And now it's time for Retro Game Fitness. Here it is, the big daddy of retro fitness game peripherals, the Nintendo Wii Balance Board and Wii Fit game. Released in 2008 and bundled together for £70, the balance board can now be found for around £10, the game 50p, and often together with the Wii console for around £30 to £40. The balance board is a mighty piece of kit, weighing in at around £9 or 4 kilograms, and its clean clinical design took the world by storm. Over 40 million balance boards along with over 20 million Wii Fit games were sold. The Wii Fit game and balance board were the great white hope for reversing the ever-expanding waistlines of the Western world, but now, over a decade later, it is often seen as nothing more than a failed gimmick. But is this fair? I synchronised the balance board with its little red button strapped on my £5 wrist weights and worked out with the balance board and Wii Fit for 90 minutes each day for a week to find out. Each time you Wii Fit, you'll be asked if you would like to have a body test. This will do two things. Firstly, the balance board will act like a very complicated weighing scale and measure your weight and body mass index. The second is that it will carry out a couple of tests to provide you with your Wii Fit age. From my experience, this will only astound you with its variation from day to day. On day 2, I was nearly suicidal when provided with an age of 64. The day after, I was provided with an accurate age of 48, and by day 6, I was a youthful 38. I feel that I should point out that the chirpy, flexible R2-D2 balance board character is not your friend, but is actually a passively aggressive and unstable character who will commend you for your godlike abilities on one exercise before taking great pleasure in humiliating you on the next. This is the Wii Fit training screen. The big problem you have is to maintain your heart rate in the correct training zone. The way I overcome this was to order these the same way. Firstly, I would take part in aerobic exercise, move on to yoga, then on to muscle workouts, and then finally cool down with the balance games. This is what the aerobic exercise main title screen will look like once you've spent a few hours with the game. Funnily enough, a lot of these games are actually locked, so when you first start out you don't actually see them, but after a few hours they will open up for you. With aerobic exercises, I always started in the top left with hula hoop. After a couple of goes, and it doesn't really matter how good or bad you are, Super Hula Hoop will open, and you can select this. Here you will find that it says that my weight's a bit different. This is simply because I've just strapped on my two 5-pound wrist weights. So off I go, and the main aim here is to try and get my heart rate up into the training zone. Nothing remarkable here, you might say, until you have a look at what I look like, and then if you look really careful you can see the exact moment when I lose the last remnant of my dignity. So one thing I had in common was that every time I played this I was consistently bad. I could never get to grips with it. The one plus point on this particular game is that I managed to draw a picture of a face with both my left and my right spin, and I was offered the rating of Dwindling Fire. At this point, what's interesting is because my Wii is second hand, I am actually playing against a family of 4 who used to own the Wii and the Wii Fitness game before, and they have their ratings up, so I could see how consistently I was performing against them and whether they indeed have played the games often or not, which was a useful addition. So this is Step Plus, a game that tests my lack of natural rhythm very effectively, as you will see. If with Super Hula Hoop we had embarrassing hip motion, with Step Plus we have a sort of zombie-like Day of the Dead going on there. But in all seriousness, as both of these exercises actually do got me into the fitness training zone quite effectively. So they do work, despite what you're seeing on the screen. They both worked quite well. Anyway, I nearly came a cropper there and fell over the balance board, but as you can see I'm doing okay, which means I'm rhythm perfectly well, just like those two, and it actually gives me a bit of a lecture there about not being very good. So I know this was a very popular game with the family who owned this Wii Fit and the balance board before me, because in all my times of playing I never actually made it onto the leaderboard for this particular game. Now both Super Hula Hoop and Step Plus are both relatively fun to play and to get your heart rate going. One game that isn't particularly fun is Free Step. It sounds exciting, you know, a bit free, but in fact all you're doing is walking backwards and forwards on the Wii balance board to the rhythm of the Wii remote, hence the silence. So you can carry out the free step activity for either a very long 10 minutes, an absolutely epic 20 minutes, or 30 minutes that would probably last for eternity. I opted for the 10 minutes, which lasted a long time, but I was offered a Rocket Fire, which got the crowd absolutely going crazy in the concert hall. So back in 2008, when you purchased the Wii balance board for £70, you were then asked to put away the Wii balance board because you might damage yourself or the balance board itself for jogging on the spot. So this is what jogging on the spot looks like with wrist weights attached. It's pretty remarkable stuff. So jogging on the spot will always get you into the correct training zone, like it did with me, because it wasn't using natural rhythm. I was reasonably good at this. I got rated Roaring Fire, and I rated reasonably well with the family who used to own the Wii Fit and the balance board. This may sound ridiculous, but free jogging, all that entails is putting in a duration 10, 20 or 30 minutes, running on the spot for that length of time on a course that the Wii is designed for you, and then it measures how the distance that you've actually travelled by running on the spot and ranks you accordingly. So having endured jogging on the spot with ankle wrist weights for 10 minutes, I was rated as, let's see, a roaring fire and up against the family, or the people who could be bothered to actually run on the spot for 10 minutes, and it wasn't many. I was slightly better than Fatty the father, but worse than Speedo, who was probably one of the daughters. So this is rhythm boxing. As you can see, I've reached advanced level, which is some status to have. This is unique amongst the Wii Fit activities in that you need to plug in the nunchuck.
First, just watch the way I move. Right, left, block. Left, right, block. All right, let's do this together. Right, left, block. Left, right, block.
I have to say that I found rhythm boxing quite difficult, and I had to use my full concentration, my full attention, and I didn't even answer the screen there.
Watch the way you move.
Because it involved rhythm, I was particularly dreadful at this, as you will notice, but I enjoyed the end and I could really show them what I'd got in terms
Throw
of
your punches
boxing
any way you
attention.
want to.
Despite being particularly dreadful at rhythm boxing, it did work as an activity that got me into the correct training zone.
You didn't even break out a sweat,
very
did you?
harshly critiqued with Dwindling fire there. And on that low point, this marks the end of part 1, aerobic exercises. Please join me in part 2 for a run through of the yoga activities. Retro.